The origins. How money became trust visuals. Ancient coins, gold bars, early markets. Money was never just metal or paper, it was trust in a system. Thousands of years ago, merchants needed a way to trade that didn't depend on barter. So societies created something universal, tokens that represented value. Gold, silver, shells, paper, it didn't matter what it was made of. What mattered was belief. Over time, kings and governments realized something. If people trusted them, they didn't need the gold. They could issue promises instead, banknotes, backed by the state's credibility. It was brilliant. It was powerful. And it planted the seed for every financial collapse that followed. Because when trust is the foundation, every lie becomes a crack in the system. Section 2. The Rise. The Printing Press and the Illusion of Control Visuals. Industrial Revolution. Printing presses, 1920s banks. By the 20th century, nations learned to manipulate money like never before. Printing presses gave leaders the illusion that they could create wealth out of nothing. Worked for a while. In Weimar Germany after World War I, the government printed trillions of marks to pay reparations. At first, it seemed clever. More money meant more liquidity, more spending. But soon, prices began to chase the printing presses. By 1923, a loaf of bread cost 200 billion marks. Families burned cash for heat because it was cheaper than firewood. The German mark had become meaningless. Not because it disappeared, but because no one believed in it anymore. Section 3. The Breaking Point. When trust dies, visuals. Empty grocery shelves. People bartering. Collapsing currencies. Every currency collapse follows the same pattern. 1. Debt grows faster than the economy. Governments promise stability while printing more. 3. People notice, and they rush to exchange money for anything real. That's when the system flips. In Zimbabwe in 2008, inflation hit 89 sextillion%. In Venezuela, people were paid by the stack, not the bill. And in Argentina, it's still happening again and again. The pattern is clear. When money fails, trust shifts from paper to things that can't be printed. Food, land, energy, skills. But there's a deeper survival mechanism to community. When money disappears, people rediscover trade, cooperation, and reputation as the real currencies of survival. Section 4. The Fallout. The failed fixes visuals. Politicians making promises. Central banks. Digital currencies. Here's the tragic part. Every time a system breaks, leaders promise they've found the cure. After the Great Depression, governments built central banks to manage stability. After the 2008 financial crisis, they introduced quantitative easing, trillions of dollars conjured out of thin air to prop up markets. And today, we're told digital currencies and modern monetary theory will make the system smarter. But history whispers the same warning. You can't print trust. Each fix only stretches the illusion further, until the next shock exposes the same truth. Value can't be created by decree. Section 5. The Modern Parallels. Are we next? Visuals, US dollar printing, debt clock ticking, crypto charts, inflation headlines. Let's fast forward to now. Global debt has surpassed $315 trillion. Over 60% of all US dollars in existence were created in the last few years. Central banks are trapped, raise rates, and economies break. Print more, and currencies crumble. Sound familiar? Meanwhile, the top 1% of households own more wealth than the bottom 90% combined. The middle class, the backbone of every stable society, is quietly eroding. But the real shock comes from the digital frontier. When banks fail, people don't rush to gold anymore. They run to Bitcoin, stablecoins, and assets that exist outside the traditional system. History may be repeating itself. But this time, the escape routes are digital and far more fragile. Because what happens if trust in digital money collapses too? Section 6. What survives when money fails? Visuals. People farming, trading, learning skills, community scenes. When money loses meaning, 3 things always survive. Tangible assets. Food, tools, land, and energy. The physical things that meet human needs. These hold value because they can't vanish in a crash. Human capital, skills, creativity, adaptability. When money dies, people who know how to build, fix, and grow become invaluable. Networks of trust, community, cooperation, and reputation, the invisible bonds that rebuild economies from the ground up. In every collapse from Rome to Weimar to modern Argentina, those who thrive aren't the richest. They're the most resourceful. Closing warning, reflection, call to action visuals. World map overlay with flickering currencies, people working together. We live in an age where numbers on screens decide our future, where $1 trillion can appear overnight, and faith in the system is assumed, not earned. But if history teaches anything, it's this. Every system built on blind trust eventually faces the test of reality. So ask yourself, if money stopped working tomorrow, what would you have that still holds value? Not in theory, bet, but in practice. Learn to create, to trade, to build relationships stronger than any currency. Because the next collapse won't just erase savings, it will redefine what wealth means. And when that day comes, those who understand value beyond money will inherit the future. If this story made you rethink what value really is, share it. Because history doesn't just repeat, it warns.